So, Bitcoin pumped. Like I said in my last video and maybe last couple of videos, if you didn't watch those, go check them out, because I was talking about how Bitcoin was at that level of resistance trying to bust through. And I said, if we bust through this level, Bitcoin will get to 96,000 to 98,000, somewhere in that range, pretty quick. Well, right now we are at 95,700 or somewhere around there. And it looks like it's still trying to pump higher. And the NASDAQ has just been on a tear, ripping higher and higher yesterday and today. So what's going to happen from here? Will we keep pumping? Dogecoin hit 18 cents or something like that. So everything's been pumping like crazy. And it has to do with Trump kind of like toning down a little bit on tariff talk. And maybe some other things going on, I'm not sure. But like I've been saying in my last few videos, when we're at the bottom of a huge corrective wave all across the markets, and there's some drama going on in the world, in the economy, it never fails. When we're at the bottom of that correction, at a point where big time players are going to be buying the bottom, and most retail traders are going to be panic selling, when there's max fear in the markets, that's when the big money players want to be buying. And it never fails. It's always a coincidence that, you know, whatever's going on with the president, whoops, lost my camera there for a minute, but it never fails. Like, whatever's going on, whatever the president's talking about, whatever's going on in the world economy, it always seems to kind of get worked out at the right time, so that the big money players can buy the dip perfectly, and then we get huge pumps and they make billions and billions of dollars. So it's just something I've noticed over the last few years of being in the markets. So I have learned to just start buying crypto and stocks, or whatever I'm doing at the time, whatever I think has a good potential in the next year or so, or whatever. I just start loading up at the bottom and just buying a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time every week or every couple of days, as long as I'm seeing the momentum dying down and we're at a major level. And then as soon as I see that momentum start to shift towards the upside, that's when I start kind of buying more and more and going in a little bit heavier. And that's what happened this time. We were at the bottom of that corrective wave, like I've been showing you in my last few videos. And I'm already up on some of the positions I've been buying at the bottom, because we had this huge move up. So I'm just continuing to dollar cost average. And we're going to hop into the charts to see if I think we're going to get a pullback. And if we do, then I will buy more. And as long as we hold the area we're at and form a higher low, then I will go in even heavier. So let's hop into the charts. So this is Bitcoin daily time frame. See this red box that I have here? That is a major level, an area of interest, whatever you want to call it. And we are trying to bust through that. I don't think we're going to get through there right now this time. I just don't think it's going to happen. Most of the time when a key level like that is broken, it's not going to bust back through on the first attempt. That's just usually how it goes. And we're already overbought on the RSI, on the daily time frame. Now we can pump a little higher than where we're at. We might tap that $96,000 or $97,000 level like I expected. But don't get your hopes up just yet, because we most likely will see a pullback. You know, we might pull back to this blue box, or we might pull back to that purple line there, which is the 200-day moving average. We might have a small pullback, close this little gap here, so maybe pull back to around like anywhere from 85 to 87,000, somewhere in there. And then I would expect us to go up, as long as there's nothing crazy happening in the news, and bust through that level probably on the second attempt. Now, it doesn't have to happen like that. We could bust on through there and keep going, because, you know, the last cycle, we didn't really have very many pullbacks once we took off like this. But that could be after this level's broken through. You know, we could see a small pullback or even a deeper pullback. As long as we don't form a lower low and come back down here to like 75, 76,000, as long as we stay above probably like 84, somewhere around in there, as long as we stay above there, above this blue box preferably, then we will see more upside. And if I have, you know, this is just my opinion, but once we get a pullback and bust through this red box, I don't expect very many pullbacks for a while. I expect a strong move, something like this back here, but way bigger. And I would expect us to have a huge move up, maybe to like $140,000 or $150,000 before we see a pullback, and then the continuation to the upside up here at this green box where I'm targeting for the peak of the bull run. So that's kind of like what I'm expecting to play out. But like I said, it depends on the news and what all is happening. But we did get through that level with lots of strength. So I expect that level to hold when we do pull back. And like I said, we don't even have to pull back to that blue box. We could pull back to that purple 200-day moving average and then explode through that red box. So when we do, the altcoins and meme coins are going to explode. So I know everybody likes Doge, and like I said, we've hit 18 cents, almost 19 cents already. But same thing here, you know, since we didn't get this pullback here, you know, this is kind of like what I would expect, something like that. Doge could pull all the way back to 15 or 16 cents, and same thing, I would expect us to explode once we do get that pullback and continue to the upside. But also, Doge could keep pumping and possibly hit 20 to 24 cents, anywhere from 20 to 25 cents. We could get more of a pump and then a pullback. That's possible. But, you know, like I've been saying, to play it safe, and in my last video, you know, I did like a little educational video just to kind of help people that are lost on crypto and don't know what to do. But right now, everything's looking good. The momentum has shifted back to the upside. And once we get above this high here, above like 20 cents with some strength, then technically the daily time frame is bullish, and this corrective wave would be technically over. And I mean, you could even say this was a low and that's a high, this was a higher low. But to play it safe, you know, once we've broken above 20 cents, then we're on our way, and that will let a lot of big money players, you know, be like, all right, it's time to go up. It's time to load up. The momentum has shifted. We made a higher high. We're going. And then Doge will be back to that 40 cent level in a hurry. As soon as we break above 20 cents and hold, then, you know, we're headed back up to that 40 cent range in a hurry. And then once we get through that level up there, then we're headed to $4 or $5 to finish off the bull run. That's just my opinion. Same thing with Shiba Inu. You know, this red arrow I've had here for a while, we're following that perfectly. We hit that white line there. Same thing, we might see a little bit of a pullback and then more upside, but once we get through probably the 1.518 level right there and hold with some strength, then we're headed up there. So everybody get ready. Shiba Inu 0.001, that's my main target for the peak of the bull run. But, you know, I'll probably ladder out on my way up there and then leave some to run higher, depending on what the price action's telling me on the daily and weekly time frames. So everything's looking good. I hope everybody took advantage of the opportunities we had down here at these bottoms. I've been calling out a lot of good stuff on my Instagram. If you don't follow me there yet, go to ThomasTrades270 on Instagram and follow me there. I call out a lot of good plays there with stocks and just overall NASDAQ and crypto. So follow me there. I post there in between these YouTube videos, but I will keep updating you on what Bitcoin and crypto's doing, if there's any major news that might affect it. And but as of right now, I'm just waiting to see if we keep plowing through this level or if we're going to see a pullback. I expect a pullback. I think that's the most likely scenario. NASDAQ had a lot of selling up here around 19.5 today. See what we're doing on the 4 hour. Yeah, to me the NASDAQ looks like it needs a pullback too. So probably next week, you know, we should see a little bit of a pullback on NASDAQ, and Bitcoin and crypto will probably follow too. You know, we've gapped up here, lots of strength here. It looks like the momentum's kind of wearing out a little bit on NASDAQ, but we did get that pullback and the bounce just like I thought we would there. So now I would expect something like let's see, let me unlock this. I would expect something probably like this for NASDAQ over the next week or two maybe. It doesn't have to play out that way, but you know, something like that. We don't have to close this gap down here completely, but we probably need some kind of a little pullback like that. And like I said, we don't have to get it. We could go higher. Next week we could open up and rally higher up around here and then get that pullback. That's possible too. But everything's looking good. I hope everybody's hanging in there, not panic selling down here at the bottom and now you're missing out on these gains. If you've been watching my videos and listening and doing your own research and learning, then you're probably up in the green pretty good right now. So everything's looking good. Like the video if you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with my future videos. And follow me on Instagram, ThomasTrades270. And I'll be making another video here in a couple of days once I see if we're getting this pullback or if we're going to go higher before we get the pullback. So until next time, peace out.